Jeremiah is a 2 times VC-backed founder and owns a thriving product studio here in Bali. Having grown up in foster care and being completely self-made, he is proof that you can turn the greatest challenges in your life into your greatest victories. In this episode, we discuss the danger of getting lost finding your purpose and how patience and humility always win in the business world. We also talk about how to create your own luck by ruthlessly preparing for the moments you wish to create in life. Enjoy this one, guys. Good to see you again. So for context for everyone, it's quite early in the morning here in Bali. We recorded a podcast 2 days ago that was a beautiful podcast.
Was it 2 days ago?
2-3 days ago now, yeah.
Wow.
It was an amazing podcast. Jeremiah was very generous with his time. He was very generous with his energy and with what he shared. And unfortunately, the studio misplaced the files. So we had 2 options, which was either not do it,
wait a couple months,
3 options then, wait a couple months, or they gave us a slot this morning. And I'm actually off to the airport very, very shortly. Yeah. So Jeremiah has been an absolute legend and just said, hey, we'll get up and we'll get it done again.
Yeah, you know, when Tom texted me, I thought something was bad, like something bad happened, you know, because it's like paragraphs. And usually when someone said do paragraphs, you're like, oh, what happened, you know?
What did I do?
What did I do? What did I say or something? And when I read, oh, they misplaced the files somehow out of all the episodes, like what we're going to talk about, it was just the way that I love to live and what's helped me become myself is try me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about testing. It's about try me. I'm ready. You know what I mean? Okay, files are misplaced. Let's do it again. You know what I mean? It was God. It was what other reason would that be? Yeah. Right? And so I think it was a perfect way to show you and others that, like, you know, when people say things and really try to preach or inspire others, the best way to actually inspire others is to, do it. Yes,
do it.
Yeah, and I think it was funny because I don't want to say you were surprised, but it was kind of like you were like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, man, I was so happy that you were like, yeah, we'll do it. And best part is we get to spend some more time together. And,
let's do it, man.
I'm really happy about that. Yeah, man, I thought we'd sort of kick off with, because we've spoken about this before, but let's talk about your watch to kick things off and things up. Yeah, man. Let's talk about what you're wearing and this awesome watch.
Dude, yeah. You know, for me, I'm a minimalist. Yeah. I used to be a maximalist. And for those of you guys that don't know, maximalist means like you're just like buying everything, consumer hungry, you know, because I love fashion and, you know, didn't really have anything growing up. So once I had a little money, I wanted to show people, right? But as I got older, I realized that like, no, minimalism is the way to go. And so anything I wear, anything I buy, I do it with intention, especially something that is like a shirt or a watch, you know? This is the first ever watch I've ever bought. It's from Larvi. A friend of mine, Eric from college, showed me their brand, and it immediately felt like a connection because I've always loved Dali, and the Milton clock is one of my favorite paintings. And so it was just kind of like a, you know, just one of those moments of like, wow, I can see where their inspiration is from. It's so crafted with like creativity, and they're all about love. And so it's a simple piece. It's not too expensive. It's my first watch ever, but it means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's such an awesome watch, man. I mean, for those who can see, it's a Submariner, but the whole kind of take on it is it's the melted clock by Dali. Yeah. But yeah, mate, what a beautiful piece. I remember first time I saw it, eyes kept being drawn to that. It's gorgeous. Never seen it before. So yeah, shout out to the guys there.
Yeah, I'll send you the link, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
This, by the way, is Represent. It's like one of my favorite brands ever. 11 years. It took them, George and his brother, 11 years to build this brand. And it's like a street luxury. So they created their own niche after being like ridiculed for 11 years. It just shows the story of resilience. And I think this is the lesson of like, when you're trying to create anything in life, you want to be raw before you're polished. Because when you're raw, I get to be along with you. I get to join you. I get to feel a part of it. And at the end of the day, humans want to feel like they belong. Because in the Bible, as we know, we got taken away from belonging, right? When the fruit of the Spirit happened and the forbidden fruit, you know, God took all that away. So we all crave to belong. We all crave to be a part of something. That's why people that are vegan are very vegan. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, so pants are from Hanukkah. It's a local brand in Bali. Everywhere I travel in the world, I want to find the local designers and try to support and like just give them love. And then this is a friend of mine, Keanu Magus, is his brand. It's a angel. It's one of my favorites. I love angels. So yeah, man, I think we're walking billboards. Be intentional with who you support, and you'll feel great when you wear your clothes and wear your watch or whatever, you know? Everything has a story if you're intentional.
Yeah, man, everything has a story, and it's like putting on your armor, you know? It's, you know, and it's
there
like,
you go, yeah.
And it's, like you said.
I used to say that when I was younger, actually.
For real?
Yeah, for sure, man. I would wake up in the morning, and I would be like, the helmets.
Yep.
I would do a little like, what is it called? Not a dance, just like my little mantra in the morning. You know what? Wow, I forgot about that. This has been like, when did I do that? Maybe like when I was like 7, 8. Yeah, man, I used to do that when I woke up because I felt like I was at war. Yeah. You know? The armor of God. Yeah, man. That's cool. Yeah,
man. A watch can really do that as well. Yeah. A watch can really give you a special feeling as you're wearing it. Man, I thought it'd be a cool place to start. And I think it's funny what's happened with kind of this. And look, it's a little thing. It's a little hiccup. Yeah. But one of the bits of wisdom that I got from you was the obstacles in your life can be renamed as your divine fuel.
Yeah,
and that's,
for sure.
That's the greatest challenges in your life prelude your greatest victories. Now, I'm not perhaps saying that this is the greatest challenge that anyone's getting up a little bit early. Okay, but I think it's a nice kind of way to kind of open up into your way of thinking. So yeah, obstacles are your divine fuel. Like, how did you come to that realization? How did you get there?
Yeah, I mean, look. Grew up in foster care and in orphanages. And in the beginning, I don't know that I'm not normal, but as you get older, you kind of see as you compare. And also I was pretty illiterate growing up because I went to so many schools. So like my pronunciation and communication skills were pretty poor. So I basically like had to learn how to kind of flip things, you know? Like, we're living in an orphanage and foster care. One of the things that like really kind of shaped who I am is I'm constantly getting connected with something and like getting to feel some kind of love, and then it's pulled again, like pulled away from you, and then put again, and then pulled away from you, and then put again. And so I felt a lot of hurt and I felt a lot of anger, and you know, what better way to kind of transmute that energy than to turn that into, you know, well, I'm just going to be the most adaptable. Nothing can attach to me. Humans, objects. And I became such an unattached human, which sounds horrible now that I'm older, but it protected me and gave me a superpower when I was younger, because then when I got to a new family, or I had to go make new friends at a school, or I had to go to a new city, it was like, oh, this is my next journey. I'm excited. I'm ready, you know? And then as I got older, I had to learn how to build attachments and how to, you know, be loved and connect with love. And that was a whole thing.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it's amazing. How I know, because you've given some talks around this as well. Yeah. So what sort of inspired those? Like, why did you feel, because obviously this is the first sort of time or second time coming and speaking publicly out there. Yeah. But what was the reason for kind of giving those talks publicly, and who are you talking to? And I know, was it Obstacle is your divine fuel was one of the...
Yeah, there's 2 talks. One is whatever you've been through, the worst thing you can think of is going to be your greatest fuel to become who you are. And that's just because like throughout my whole life, everything that I've been through, I've realized has been my fuel to help me become who I am, right? I'm a pretty good communicator now, done a lot of public speaking, graduation speaker. It wouldn't have happened if I wasn't so illiterate when I was younger, because I fell in love with communicating. I fell in love with storytelling, you know? But, you know, you don't get that right away. You got to go through some struggles, right? Without struggle, it's not worth it almost. Men want to pursue. So my first talk has always been about that, right? And it's, you know, it is hard, right? Like being in a room of kids that you know are broken and like, you know, their life is like not the easiest. And I got to be up there and be like, look, everything you guys are going through, everything you guys been through is for a reason, for the better. And sometimes the kids call me out. Hey, my mom died. Hey, this, hey, that. I got abused. And I'm like I literally have to like get God behind me and be like, give me strength to tell this kid that like that was for a reason and it's gonna work out. You know what I mean? I used to film and I couldn't share it because of two reasons. One, the healing and power in those sessions was beyond me, and I didn't feel like it was me. So I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to share that. And two, it was too personal. It was too personal. And these kids in the orphanages, in the underprivileged high schools, in the underprivileged middle schools, I just couldn't share their stories like that. You know what I mean? So because of that, I never really shared anything. No one really knows I've done any of those unless you're the schools or, you know, classes. But yeah, man, I mean, we've had this talk, right? Before we had the podcast about what you went through with your family. You went through one of the worst things someone can go through recently. And I just met you. You can imagine how hard it was for me to tell you, hey, does your dad really want a new house? Or is this a new way for you to do something to bring purpose and divine fuel? You know, this is not an easy thing to tell people when they're going through the worst thing they can go through. And you're telling them it's for a reason, for the better. Let's figure this out and let's go. When it clicks, but it can take a while to click, and people can create some remorse towards you because it's almost like you're insensitive, you know? So without God, I could not do that. 100% could not do that.
Your mess is your message.
Your mess is your message.
That's what you told
exactly.
me. Your mess is your message.
Exactly.
And it's stuck, man. How people who are there, people who they've been through a breakup, they've lost a parent, they're in it. They're in it. Everything's going against them. They're saying, why God? Why life? Why has this happened to me? How do you find that meaning? How do you help people when they're in it stop, you know, feel through it or whatever it is? How do people who are, if you're going through something that is hard right now, hard, what do you do? How do you keep moving, and why do you keep moving?
I think the first thing is faith. You have to have faith, right? Faith in God and faith in that there's going to be a light, okay? Which you do, right? You just went through what you went through. Now, the question is are you ready for the battle, the mission that God has given you, right? Because you can think about it. God has maybe given this mission also to your parents and other people that have been involved, but you are you. And you can do things that other people can't do. And so the question is, are you ready? And are you willing? And now it's about, with that situation, what can you do, right? What can you do that no one else can do because they're not you and you're in this position, right? So how can you use this fuel to change your parents' life? It's not getting them a house, right? How can you find purpose? How can you find fuel that no one else is going to have because they didn't go through what you guys went through and go?
So I have a question there, and perhaps ways that you've done this for yourself. So when you have this kind of swing of the pendulum, of it goes so far one way and you use it as fuel to kind of go the other way. Can you feel peace? And have you felt peace? How has that been for you? Have you felt connected to something else, someone else? that's kind of, even though these waves are crashing and there's a storm and you feel all of these things, how have you in your life been connected to something more grounding? And has that helped you? And any wisdom you have for how others can notice that more grounding thing?
Yeah, I think grounding is very important, right? Like stillness. I remember when I met you, I called you the walking stoic. It's very peaceful to me because I'm not grounding. When I'm not on a podcast wearing a black button up, I'm wearing grounding clothing to remind myself to slow down and stay grounded. Little things you can do. When I was younger, I had an imaginary friend that helped me stay grounded. Like, we talked about, like, you know, I don't know if I was just a really weird kid, but like in the orphanage, I had an imaginary friend. You know, you have friends, but not too much. I couldn't communicate too well. So like, it just wasn't easy for me to connect with others when I was pretty young. And so my imaginary friend and I were like besties, you know, played games. I went to battles. I told him everything, you know, about my life and about what I was doing. It was easy because it was all in my head, you know? And when I was sad or mad, my imaginary friend would help me, you know? And I was just, that was my like secret weapon when it came to kind of giving me peace throughout this storm. And it wasn't until basically two things happened that I realized my imaginary friend was something way bigger to me and also now bigger to everyone else, right? Which was two things happened. I went to my first party and basically I snuck out of my foster home and I'm like in 7th grade. I know it's not good, but 7th grade, I'm at my first party. I'm feeling normal. I got my friend's clothes on me and I'm with my crush. This girl was super, to that day, it was like, you know, she gives me a cup. I got this alcohol, first time. I am about to party. I'm ready. And I get this migraine for the first time. You know, in the past, when I was sick, I would close my eyes and my imaginary friend and I would say, I'm not sick. And it would go away because, you know, I didn't really have access to like medicine or someone to care for me when I was pretty sick. So I would always have to just self-heal, which like I learned really good. And basically, like, I had this migraine, which was like I've never had a migraine before. I don't even know if young kids have them or not, but like, it was like a piercing, like right here, boom, 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 boom. So I closed my eyes and I'm like, yo, let's get rid of this. I don't have a headache. I'm good. And I open my eyes and everything is black and white. And I see spirits in people's chest and in these cups. And I'm like, what is this thing? And my imaginary friend talks to me, but not like my friend anymore. It's like some kind of like, you want this? You know, he knew all my things. He knew my goals. He knew my dreams. He knew who I was. And he told me if I want to travel the world, if I want to build businesses, if I want to build an example, if I want to be talking to people and inspiring, this is not for me. You can't drink alcohol. You can't do drugs. Your choice. And I said, okay. I made a promise to myself that I would never try alcohol, that I would never try drugs. And to this day, I've never tried anything. The second time, I was at one of my foster homes took me to church. I went to a Pentecostal church for the first time. And I'll never forget it. I was hearing the worship, and that frequency, that sound dropped me to my knees, and I started crying because I realized that that was my imaginary friend that was with me from the day one. It was God, right? And so since then, I have known God is real. I have known God has been with me, and I have known that God has been using me, and like that is my friend, that is my homie, and that is my like everything. And that's what gives me peace, peace of mind and clarity. And I wouldn't be who I am without it, you know?
Bro, so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Mate, I don't think we've spoken about this before. A big part of one of my missions right now is I want to make God cool in some way, but I want people to have the connection that I have with God.
Yeah.
and that you have, it's very, very triggering. And even for me, if you spoke to me about God 5 years ago, I'd be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. I don't want to hear about your magical fairy Santa Claus floaty type guys in the sky you pray to. Get a fucking grip.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we are, and it's one of the most important, what is the most important thing in my life is my relationship with God. How can people, in your opinion, understand that, get a taste of God? What does that mean when we're speaking about it? Because I know from the conversations we've had that, and look, everyone's relationship with God is very personal.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I think, first of all, your relationship is personal. And I think churches and other Christians sometimes want others to be like them. And that's what pushes people away. But God in the Bible, if you read the Bible, it's all about imperfect humans surrendering and coming to God. It's about humans unfolding and being who they are. It's not about perfect humans that do all the rules and are good, noble people. It's not, right? And so your relationship with God is your relationship with God. Who you talk to, how you talk to, and how you connect is you, right? No one else can tell you anything. God doesn't care how you connect or how you talk to him. He's not saying every time you talk to me, get on your knees and bow. No, he is not fueled by praise and worship. That's the other side. He's fueled by love. And how you love is how you love, right? So what I tell people is, first thing is, you can see the devil. You can hear the devil. You can feel the devil. I mean, we see demonic stuff all the time. When I was in LA, man, it is crazy out there. We are in a battle, right? If you can see the devil, feel the devil, you can see that it's real, then obviously you know the other side is real. And now it's, what energy do you want? What frequency do you want to live in? Even if you don't believe. What frequency do you want to be in? You want to be uplifting and healing, or you want to be, depressed and low? This is up to you, right? For me, it comes down to the first story, that everyone knows, Adam and Eve. You got the two trees, fruit of the spirit, the forbidden fruit. Fruit of the spirit is like everything, patience, gracious, kindness, right? These are words that we want to live by and be. And we all say, yes, I want to live like that. But guess what? You can't live like that if you don't have something higher than you that's keeping you accountable when it's getting really, really hard, right? Now, the fruit of the spirit is easy. It's temptation. It's power. It's greed. And once you take a bite of that, it's thirsty, right? That thirst is unquenchable. So the more you take a bite, the more you want, the more money you want, the more power you want, the more greed you want, right? Now, in this story, this is called the tree of knowledge, which has always been confusing, because why doesn't God want us to have all the knowledge, right? It's because he wants faith, believe, right? So now we take a fruit of the tree of knowledge from good and evil, and now where are we? We're in 2023, and what's everything from good and evil in our fingertips right now? It's our phone, right? It's a bitten apple in the back. The next paradigm coming is Neuralink, which they're testing with the Apple Vision Pro right now, which was a genius move by Elon, which is basically the new VR set coming out that's going to be reading your mind while you're using Neuralink, because the point of Neuralink is to put ChatGPT and Apple in your head, right? I thought it was ChatGPT going in our head. No, obviously not. Apple has been the tree of knowledge this whole time. Apple is now going back in our head, right? So it's going in our head first with the set, which is not inside yet, but it's going to do all the testing that it needs. Everything from good and evil, good and bad, all the knowledge you need in this world will be on this set. And then years later, it's going to be inside. And the ones that have faith are not going to let them do that. The ones that don't, cool. They're going to take over the world, the next paradigm.
So, and man, it's connecting these dots is just so, it's fun, it's cool, and it's like, yeah, okay, I see where this is. So something I've been playing around with recently is this idea that to experience something, we experience things through their opposite as well. To be able to fully experience something, we must know the opposite. So for there to be love, there has to be hate. Maybe that's not a good example. I think love is the only thing.
The opposite of love is abandonment.
Abandonment.
Yeah.
But look, I guess like I think like you have male and female, you have light and dark. Okay, they're but two sides of the same coin. To know one, you have to know the other as well. Like one can't be experienced without the other. So with this kind of whole story of Adam and Eve and the forbidden fruit and gaining this knowledge, my kind of thoughts to play around with there are that it's in a way something that God wanted us to experience
100%.
so that we could know one side. And we play this story out in our own life. We take the forbidden fruit in our own life. Some people call it dark night of the soul. And then it's the journey to come back. But without the forbidden fruit, would we be able to actually find God? Is that the point of it? You know, like, what's your thoughts around that?
I think that it's all a test. My second talk that I do with the orphans and underprivileged kids is the concept of lost. I spent a lot of time in this world of purpose. When I was younger, when I knew I was alone, I was like, all right, I'm going to take over. You know what I mean? I need to take control. I need to figure out who I'm going to be and what I'm going to be. And every day I would think I'm going to be a cop, a firefighter, blah, 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 right? And I was completely obsessed with what my purpose and my potential is going to be, right? To the point where I was like never present, you know? And as I got older, I discovered Simon Sinek, and I start with why and find your purpose. And this is so dangerous because we can go in a room right now full of people and be like, okay, guys, what's your purpose? It's going to mind bend everybody because what your purpose is sounds like it's one thing, one hard thing that embodies everything that you've ever done. And it's like, here's my purpose. And if this is not how I feel my purpose is, then my life is unfulfilled. This is not it, right? Our purpose is to be the best we can be as a human, our health, our wealth, our, you know, what we do for life. But for me, God, this whole reasoning of living is being lost. We're lost lambs, right? So look, when it comes to life, for everyone out there that says you're lost, and because you're lost, you're depressed and you don't want to do nothing and you're floating around in this world, you're not lost. Actually, you are lost. But the point of life is we are lost, okay? We have all been lost. And guess what? Are you lost right now?
I'm lost.
We are all lost right now. No matter who you are, I don't care who you are out there, you are lost. Even Elon Musk is lost because we are still trying to figure out who we are, what is God, and what are we going to do next?
Yeah.
Which means we're lost. We don't know what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
So look, life is about being lost. It's an exploration. It's a mystery. It's a fun discovery game. And guess what? God is definitely going to test us throughout that game. But if you know that, then it's like, not test, it's try me. I'm ready. Give me a test.
Try me.
Keep giving me tests. I love it.
It's so true, man. And like anyone who says that, yeah, you can fill your life with direction and that's great. But nobody knows that fundamental question. I spoke about this with James. Like, why are we here? Like, we can give meaning to that question. Yeah. But really, that everyone comes into the world with that same question. Like, right, what the hell is even going on? What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Aliens, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like, what's going on? We're all lost and we're all trying to give meaning to this crazy thing that we call life. So you call it the purpose trap.
Yeah.
Purpose culture. But you also have this idea that, yes, being you is your purpose.
Yeah.
And I often have said that something that I found a lot of peace in is stop trying to find your purpose. It's not outside of you. It's right here. It's now. If you want to find purpose, it's be purposeful with your actions and you'll have more purpose. You'll feel more purpose right here, right now. But there are things that we do. Maybe we're building a business.
Yeah.
Maybe we're launching a podcast. Maybe we are starting a music career. Okay.
Yeah. Missions. Yeah, I'm on a mission, right? Like I'm on a mission to share to the world for the first time on social media. I'm on a mission to build a company. I've been traveling developing countries now for 2 years. and my co-founder and I, we want to build something that helps, that impacts, right? And we're going to do it. We're going to bring money to locals. We're going to bring more business to these businesses here. And, you know, like, this is a mission. When you have a mission, you have energy. When you have energy, other people can be attracted to it. Sometimes just telling someone you're going to do something makes it real. I remember you told me earlier on the other day that you said, I'm going to be planning on doing this like journey with men up a mountain, hiking. In my head, I'm like, you already did it before many times. You already have the people that want to join you. You're already doing it. Journey with Tom is already a thing. Now it's just pick a date, charge people. By the way, I got another person for you. So we have 4.
Nice.
And get going. It's done. Yeah. The only switch was, I'm doing this or I'm going to do this. That was it. Right? And so this is missions. And guess what? When you say you have a mission and other people align with that mission, they're going to come help you. But until you tell people you have that mission, they're not going to do nothing.
So you're so right. How can people use this frame to kind of free them of the idea of purpose? So the people who are like, I need to find my purpose. How do missions give you permission to kind of have the things you're working on, but kind of free you of that? Is this my purpose? Do I need to give everything to this? Is this the one thing that I'm going to do for the rest of my life? And how does that work in this kind of frame here?
That was cool.
Yeah.
The mission gives you permission.
The mission gives you
see, I see that. Look, at the end of the day, life is about discovery, exploration, curiosity. That's it. Follow your curiosity. I tell parents all the time, whatever your kid is curious about, fuel it. Fuel it. They want to learn how to paint, go get them a painting tutor or sit down with them and teach them how to paint. They want to play soccer, go train them on soccer. Don't just let them play soccer. Train them. Like, people need to fall in love with learning. You know, when I was younger, like I told you, I was pretty illiterate to the point where when it was time to read and it was my turn, I would be so scared that I would fall off my chair and make everyone laugh so I can get out, or I would, say something bad so I can get kicked out. Or when I did get caught and I had to read, it was the worst thing ever because I couldn't even pronounce words. And in that moment, everyone realized, oh, this guy can't read. And that was really hard for me to swallow. It wasn't until I got a special ed teacher that realized, like, oh, this guy needs some help. He's not a class clown. He's not some person that just wants crazy amount of attention. He just can't read. He can't comprehend. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, man. And we spoke about this before, and we'll just quickly touch on it. It's that surface level, that behavior you're seeing from a kid or from anyone. That behavior that you're seeing, falling off your chair, kicking someone over, shouting out a swear word, that's the surface level thing. That's how something else has manifested.
Yeah.
And what do? That kid who is scared because they're embarrassed, like yourself, that people are going to know that I can't read. Shit. Anything else will be better than that. Anything else. I don't care that I'll get shouted at. Anything else will be better. But what do when that happens? We shout at the bad behavior. Okay, we create this identity that you're a bad kid for being afraid of something and not being able to kind of express and work on these things that you need to work on. That's what's happening in schools today, tomorrow, and is you kind of cementing in these identities for these kids. So yeah, man, it's I think it's such a thing that everyone can relate to because they've seen it. Everyone will have seen that. Yeah. Everyone will have seen that. But mate, with that being said, some of the missions that you have had, some of the creativity, some of the curiosity that you have fueled, what has that looked like for you? What curiosity had a bunch of fuel? What missions have you had that have really, really driven you and have created huge change in your life? What things did you go from I'm going to do to, hey, I'm doing this?
At first it was sports. And like sports taught me a lot. Taught me how to be a team player, get my body right. And it put me through high school because I was not going to pass those classes without coaches passing me, which is good and bad, right? There's pros and cons to that. But, you know, I would say like when I turned 18, my foster mom's best friend met me. Her name's Tara. She saw something in me. We had like a lot of love for each other, you know, randomly, like this connection. And, you know, she set a reminder of her brother. Her brother is Drew Wolf. He started Lee Collegiate Outfitters, the largest university apparel company in America. This guy is an amazing human. Knowing Tara for just a couple weeks, she decided to be like, if you want a better life, come to Philadelphia, go to school, and we'll figure it out. I don't know how long you can stay in my house. I don't know how long you're going to actually focus, but like, just come to Philadelphia. I've never left California. I said, okay, let's do this. She had a daughter in middle school and her husband didn't even know what she was doing. So like, the only way you can explain this point in my life was God and love, right? Following love and following God. Following this human that is pouring so much love into you without knowing you and letting God trust and guide in both ways, right? At first, it was hard. I failed in a lot of different ways in the beginning. Before I started school, I had to get a job. She said, you need to work if you're going to live here. That's when I realized I'm the worst employee there is to man. I failed. I got fired from H&M, from Whole Foods, from Uncle Julio's, from being a server, a cleaner, a retail. And, you know, I got fired every time for similar reasons. It was like I was constantly figuring out how I can make things better, or I was like fighting with managers that were being rude, or I was just felt like a robot that was not doing well, right? And so it just wasn't for me. And I was like, wow, I'm really bad at this, you know? Like, I'm probably just not going to make money ever because I can't figure this out. I go to school and I can't pass the placement test. I can't do it. I can't read. The president, she graduated from Harvard, Dr. Karen Stout, was like, why can't you pass this test? And tell her my story, and then I go into developmental courses. Developmental courses is like where you learn English, right? And international students pay a lot of money to come to America to like learn English. So I'm in classes with all these really cool international students, which has like been super amazing for me because now that I've traveled in the world, I'm comfortable with meeting new people from all around the world because I did that, right? In a weird way. So I go from developmental courses, learning English with tutors for speech pathology and proper just like how to communicate. And I take over. I fall in love with learning. Guys, fall in love with learning. Learning is so much power. The more skills you have, the more valuable you are, the more things you can do. Life is about exploration and learning. And it's just so much amazing things that can happen, right? From learning new skills. I took over when I finally fell in love with learning and just doing, and I became student government president. I became president of the American Association of Community Colleges. I thought I was going to be a politician. I was athlete of the year, graduation speaker. I was just in a flow, you know? I was in a flow. And I definitely could have broke many times before that. But I just realized from my past that like anything that was going to try to break me or anything that made me like out of the ordinary, like I can use to take over, right? And that was kind of just it, man. Like I really just fell in love with learning and got a flow and just like started shooting up. And I was like ready to figure out what to do. And I was on a fast track to be a politician. And I was going to go to American University and do all this stuff. And I got to meet some politicians and realized this is not a godly place. It's not a place that I want to be. And no. So watching Shark Tank, I used to love Shark Tank. Have you seen Shark Tank?
I've seen Shark Tank. I've been Shark Tank. Yeah.
You've been there?
No, I binge it. Like
binge it.
Yeah. If I get some Shark Tank.
I used to watch it and mute the investors, and I would like critique the people myself and then replay it and see what they've said and like what that looked like. And man, I would get super excited and super mad because I'd be like, why can't I build that? And blah, 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 right? And there was this one contestant, Christopher Gray. He had this company called Scholly, which was like scholarships for people on an app. Make it easy, effective. And I was like, that's genius. I want to work for them. And, you know, basically like he went to Drexel University. So Drexel University was one of the schools that didn't give me a scholarship. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to Drexel. And Tara goes, no. Why are you going to go to Drexel? And I was like, because I need to go. They're the first entrepreneurship college I'm going to build businesses like Drew. I'm going to do this. And she goes, these other schools gave you 4 rides. You can't go to Drexel unless they give you more money. I said, okay. The next day I took a train to Drexel, snuck into the dean's office, and I said, hi, this is, I'm Jeremiah. This is who I am. I need to come here. I need money. Ian was like, wait, what? Okay, let me go take you to Donna, the main dean, right? I went to like 3 deans before that. We all sit down at this big table, and Donna's like, so you don't got to tell me who you are. I actually know you. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I live next to Tara's best friend, and I saw you in the newspaper when you did your graduation speech. Do you want to come here? And I said, yes, that's why I'm here. She goes, okay, if you promise to come here, we'll give you the money, and I'll see you soon. And
that's so
yeah, man,
amazing.
that was the story of getting into my university.
But there's so from Shark Tank, so you've been heavily inspired by Shark Tank, seeing the entrepreneurs come on there, and they said to you, you're definitely going to be a judge on or a shark on Shark Tank, because you've already manifested it, you've already done it, you've already played it out. It's happening, man.
Got to build some businesses first.
Yeah,
man. But yeah.
But then there was someone who went to that university who had been on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so my next moment was, how can I join that startup, right? But before that, I needed to figure out living. And for the first time, I had someone supporting me, and Tara was like, look, I don't want you to live in some bad area. Like, I'm going to help you live in close to Drexel so you have the best position to succeed. And so I picked the most expensive building because my friends that I've made lived there. And couldn't afford it, so I sneak into the office of the manager, Peter, wait there for like 20 minutes. And he comes in and he's like, can I help you? I was like, yeah, look, man, this is who I am. I'm here. I'm going to Drexel. I can help. I can sell for you. I can do whatever you need to do, but I need a discount. And he's like, I don't need anyone right now. We already have X amount of students. How much they sell? They sold a couple. Like, this is not the full-time job here. And I said, okay, well, I can get 10 rooms filled in the next week. And he's like, okay, let's see what you can do. And I like killed it the next week. While I was killing it outside talking to every student that walked by, I walked in front of Christopher Gray. Christopher Gray so happened to live in that building. And I was ready, prepared. I knew what to say. I pitched to him why I need to be his intern. And a couple of days later, I'm his intern. And it was kind of just full circle. But my way of living is, when you know what you want and you build out what moment you're waiting for, now it's just about preparation. So I prepared for that moment. And when that moment came, I knew what to do with it. I knew when it was going to come up. And after was history.
I love this, man. And this is one of the biggest lessons that I have already taken away from you and starting to implement. It's preparing, it's building a moment, or understanding, getting crystal clear on what the next moment is you are working towards or you want. And then preparing for it. So how did we get there? How did you get, because mate, this is such a beautiful way of living. Yeah. How can people do this? And perhaps you can give some examples of how this has played out for you. How can people do this where they plan the next moment and then prepare for it? And then the moments after that, what does it look like? How far out can you plan these moments? Are they kind of like, is it a vertical, or do they kind of happen at the same time? What does this look like? What is the power of this? And why do you have to prepare for it as well?
The more intention, the better. I remember seeing Oprah speak at one of her talks. She said, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, which she got from an ancient Greek philosopher, right? I can't think of his name right now, but
let's go with Aristotle. Why not?
Yeah, everyone steals everything, right? And basically, it just clicked for me because I love success stories. I love documentaries. And I always was like, they're always lucky. Why are they always lucky? It's because luck is not this lucky moment that no one gets and it's just the select few get it. No, luck is everywhere. We are all lucky constantly. The abundance of it is about, do you see when the opportunities come up and do you know what to do with it, right? In every story, Tony Hawk, you name it, you saw that when their opportunity came up, they were waiting for it and they knew what to do with it, and then they killed it after. So what moments are you waiting for in life? Prepare for that. Really prepare so that whoever's lucky enough to have that moment, you know what to do with it. You see when it's there and you know how to accomplish that. You know how to execute that. The lucky one is the person giving you that opportunity. It's not you. And that's why when you help others for their moments, you kind of already know, oh no, this was you. I'm just here to tell you this or give you this opportunity, but you only had this opportunity because it's you. Do you understand? So if someone else would have gave it to that person because they're preparing for it. They're focused. And that's how it is. Abundance.
Abundance, man. You're building so much momentum behind the moment that it almost creates it as well.
Exactly.
Mate, it's amazing. So what other moments have played out? So you had this moment where you met kind of one of your, heroes, I suppose, and you ended up, you were prepared for this moment. You had the pitch. You started working with him because you prepared for that moment. What were some moments after that once you had this kind of momentum, you were like, right, what's my next moment? What am I going for?
For sure.
Yeah, what other moments have played out in your life?
Now we're going into the business world. I failed a bunch before doing anything, right? So for instance, with Christopher Gray, I was an intern for just a few weeks. And then I was in my building where Peter was really mad on a call because the moving company canceled on him. And he was about to move in 3,000 students in 2 days. And like where the luxury building was, like the cars, like they get a crazy amount of tickets and problems when the cars take too long to move out. And so my friend and I told Peter, we have a moving company. We're going to solve this for you. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, you're going to pay me $50 a head per hour and I'm going to handle this. He's like, done. We go out to frats. We find dudes that are really ready to work and we pay them cash. We get these giant boxes and wheels on the bottom to like get people to move out and move these cars as fast as possible. And I quit Scali because I didn't have time to be an intern anymore. And I honestly didn't like it. So I was already going to get fired, to be honest. And I made my first money building something myself. And it was super powerful because I got to see that we solved this problem and bring value to others. You make money, right? And it was cool. It was cool to do and film. We went to other buildings and made some good money throughout college. And I kind of applied this to other things. But, one of the things that really kind of got me was this concept of the rabbit and the turtle. I was a rabbit for a while until I realized I was the rabbit, right? So after the moving company, I wanted to build technology. I wanted to build apps and build empires, right? Because I was also working for Drew on the side. But working for Drew, I was doing like screen printing shirts and things that just I hated, and yeah, like I would have gotten fired from that if he wasn't my like foster uncle, you know what I mean? So like I knew I needed to build my own thing or I was just never going to make money or be anything in life. And so I went to the College of Engineering and talked to everyone that I'm going to build a business and like come join me, and no one joined, right? And then someone's like, hey, dude, AJ from the App Lab, he'll join you. And I like after the end of the day, I go there and I pitch AJ, hey, I don't know what I'm building, but I'm going to build something. You should join me. And he's like, yeah, we'll see. But the guy next to him, Bao Pham, was like, came outside. He's like, I'm going to join you. Bao to this day is my best friend. We built everything together and also a man of God. So it was just, that was 100% God. And once we went to the races, like when we were starting to build our first company, which was like Align, helping people find the people they need to build their company, we told everyone like we're building the Tinder for entrepreneurs. And everyone's like, oh, you're building the dating for entrepreneurs. And I was like, no, I'm not. And they were like, I need help finding girls, like all these guys. And we were like, dude, we're not building that. Which, by the way, guys, if people tell you they need or want something, just build it. Yeah, that could have been super successful, Yeah. But instead, we had 11 people trying to build something, and it was a mess because I thought the bigger the team, the better. Learned that lesson the hard way. We ended up with like 3 at the end of the whole, couple months of trying to build something.
Well, this is your quote, man, is the power of community and research. Well, when building anything, patience and humility wins in the startup world. Yeah. Yeah,
like exactly. I think that back to what we said earlier, anything that you're building, be raw before polish. Let people join the journey. Let people be a part of the journey and let them see you become polished. Don't be polished right away because you're not, and that's 100% with startups, right? And so be patient and solve real problems and then bring value to others together, right? And so basically like, I think like as we were building different companies, I basically like kept running into this problem of like, we were moving too fast to solve the solution without really understanding the problem. So we built this company called Ioko after trying a bunch of ideas. And well, actually before Ioko, we got lucky with this company called Trophy, which was, we were going to legalize video game gambling with crypto when it was like early. And we got some big investors. I dropped out of school for the first time, went to New York, and it just didn't sit right because I was like, the gamers that I know that are already lost, if they now can make money off of this, I just don't want to be a part of that, right? And so we said no to the whole thing, and then, you know, went back to school, which was hard, right? Because it was like my first big ticket, and I said no, and like that was a depressing moment for me of like, I didn't even understand why I said no on a real level, and so, but it happened for a reason, for the better. We built some things for nonprofits, and then, you know, I actually had this like dating chat that I had, right? I actually helped a friend or two get married from it. They don't even know it was me. And basically I made some good money doing that too, giving men advice on what to dress and how to talk to girls, and just being a little like dating assistant in this chat app, which was fun and cool, which I learned from when I was pitching the dating for entrepreneurs, and I realized all these men needed help dating. And so secretly I kind of did that and made some side money. So making money from YouMove, and that was pretty good. And that was like, okay, I need to build my big thing. And so we realized that, you know, community is everything, right? And guess what? These luxury buildings are the future. And so let's build community for them. So we built an app that gives these buildings a way to have groups and events and connect them with marketplaces. And we did really well. And like the buildings loved it and they wanted to use it. But before we actually expand, we actually became like empire minded. And it was like, okay, let's also do this for Comcast and their remote workers. And let's do this for influencers in their communities. And then now we're being spread. And although we were doing good, we were all about to graduate. And I couldn't see an actual plan that we were going to like execute on either of the verticals. And so I just told everyone, like, after a year of working, like, we need to stop. Let's get everyone their dream jobs and we'll figure this out. The last thing we did with the Ioko was we helped build a conference community and run the conference, which was really successful. So then for me, I wasn't going to get my dream job, obviously. So once everyone else did, I then found the company that did that the best, which was called Brella, but they were in Finland. So I was like, I'm not going to Finland. Realized they were going to host TechCrunch in San Francisco. So I got a ticket to TechCrunch. My moments was meeting one of these team members and explaining to them why they want me to be a consultant for them. Because it's just, I've been building communities all over the place and I can see what they're doing and I know that they're the best networking app for conferences and they're going to be the best, right? And I want to be a part of that. And so I get to the conference, and before I meet the founders, I have one of my biggest, not depressing moments, but like, just like, and it made me mad because it all came down to the rabbit and the turtle, which I told you earlier. But what I'll say is there's two different people that go to this conference. There's the startups that pay, they have booths, and the startups that are competing. When you go to the startups that pay, they're like empire minded. You meet them and you're like, hello, my name's Jeremiah. Like, what are you building? And they're like, oh yeah, so we're building this like hyper local social network, but then we're also connecting it to businesses, and we're also working with influencers, and we're doing this and that, and here's our merch, and yo, we should connect. Let me know what you can do for me, and we'll work together. See you later. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a lot. Sounds cool. They don't have time to talk to me about the problem they're really solving, and you go to the next one. I talk to all of them. And then I go to the other 10 startups that are actually competing on stage for a prize. And I meet this like young girl, and she's like, I was like, hey, what are you building? She goes, hey, right now we're trying to discover how to solve detection in water for diseases. And we're starting off with trying to find malaria because it's the hardest one. And we had this like lab in the palm concept. It's working kind of, but we're still trying to tweak it and figure it out. We're working with a couple of nonprofits and a science facility. And it's been a long journey, but like, you know, I think we're going to do it. And we're trying to, you know, raise some money so we can put it towards the lab materials. But yeah, you know, I'm excited for this pitch, but we'll see what happens. Like, what are you doing? You know, and super humble, super slow, very meticulous on like, I'm trying to solve this problem for these people for this reason. And this is my mission. It's so easy to want to join her and help. And that is the real way to build a startup. It's what problem are you solving or who are you trying to help? And be a researcher. Be a scientist. Find the discovery, the love of discovery, just like the love of living and discovering life. Find that in building something, right? To be the best, to solve this in the best way possible. And it couldn't kind of hit me at that moment that this was the same story told to us many times before with the turtle and the rabbit. We're all in the same race. The rabbit thinks he's faster, smarter, and he might be. But because he thinks he's faster, smarter, and all the above, he goes and does a lot of other things instead of the race. He's not present. He's not like intentional, like you said, right? He's not, his purpose at that moment is not the race. It's to do all this other stuff. With the turtle, his purpose is the race. And step by step, he's going to make it to the end. And he's focused. He's disciplined. And he doesn't care how long it's going to take him. He's going to finish. Guess what? This is how to truly build a successful life, whether it's your health, whether it's a company, whether it's your identity, your brand. Take your time. Bloom. There's no rush. There's no rush. Zero rush. You can do anything if you are focused and you understand what you're trying to accomplish and you bring value to others and you're disciplined and you do step by step, because if you're willing to learn, that journey is going to teach you everything. But if you rush and you skip corners.
If you're willing to learn, the journey will teach you everything.
Yeah.
If you're willing to learn, the journey will teach you everything.
God already wrote our story. It's already there. You know, like the scripture that I've lived by forever was Jeremiah 29:11. And he created us to prosper. We just have to walk. We just have to follow his path. It's inevitable. It's inevitable what we are doing because he already wrote our story. It's inevitable that we're going to win. It's inevitable that you're going to be the best person that you can be. And with grace, which is what God leads with, which you need to lead with yourself, you will make it. Regret is one of the most harmful things you can do to your mind. I did that. You have to tell yourself that you made the right decision at the right time for the right reasons with the amount of information you had. Give yourself grace. Give yourself love.
What's the scripture?
Jeremiah 29:11.
That's the tattoo here.
Yeah.
Inevitable.
Yeah. Inevitable with the cross, yeah. Just to remind me, like, no more regret, no more trying to understand if I'm going to make it or not. It's inevitable. God already wrote my story, and it's for me to win.
Man, so the first time we actually met and connected, because you have a book of quotes that you're building.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite quotes that came up for some reason is, advance confidently in the direction of your own dreams and endeavor to live the life in which you have imagined, and you will be met with a success unexpected in common hours. And for me, like, it's a similar, okay, it's not scripture, but it's a similar idea. And it's this idea that I have found to be true. It's take the leap of faith, essentially.
Yes.
Advance forward confidently in the direction of your dreams and imagine, keyword, imagine to live the life. And you will create it because you're stepping forward into your imagination. And I found that to be true. I don't know why it works, but it does. But you took that and you were like, right, I'm going to write that down. And then you showed me on your phone, you've got just a database now of all of these different quotes from different people that you've met. What's going on there?
Just like simple things. Like I'm creating a quote book where like each day I have a quote that you read. Like Kobe, one of the Kobe's quotes is like, fall in love with the journey, not the destination. Mm-hmm. It's not about the points. It's about the process. It's about the game, right? I would have that quote, and then under it will be my reflection of that quote, and then the next page will be your reflection of the quote. And I just want 365 quotes for a daily inspiration, daily reflection when you wake up or go to sleep. About halfway done, and it's been a fun journey. This is, again, when you're curious about something, fuel it, right? Fuel it. Do something with it. It's energy. It's potential, right? I think it's super powerful. And being optimistic is way more powerful than being pessimistic. Actually, I learned that also in the startup world, where after Brella, which is the company, oh yeah, by the way, guys, I end up meeting the founders at the events. I didn't know he was the founder. I knew he just had a Brella shirt, and I took him over. You know what I mean? I went up to him like, "This is who I am. This is why I want to work with you guys."
You prepared for the moment.
Prepared, man. And he was like, "Whoa, guess what? 2 days later, I'm flying to Finland." You know what I mean? For the first time ever leaving America, it was crazy. Like after doing that whole thing, I ended up building other businesses, which I currently have a digital sales room helping enterprise SaaS companies in America sell their software by like consolidating and organizing the process, which is kind of just like a link tree for the customer. But what I'm saying is I wouldn't have had that without optimism, because when I started talking to investors, I realized that the okay investors will ask you, well, what kind of protection do you have? How are you not going to fail? Who's your what's your moats? And this is okay. Like you're like, okay, well, how am I not going to fail? And what am I going to do? This makes sense. The great investors are like, how is this going to be $1 billion business? Give me the layout on how this is the most successful it can be. What are the plans? What are the moves? How much money do you need? And if you haven't figured this out, why would I give you money? Now that is a better way to look at life and a better way to evaluate anything. What is the best case scenario? And are you even ready for that? And how can you prepare for that? Right? And that's kind of how my digital sales room started too, was after Brella, I was consulting startups I was at Techstars and other accelerators. And I was helping startups around the world just, with strategy for product and sales. And I realized every time we did a sales call that the customer wanted more. They wanted more information. They wanted a place to work because they wanted to help the person sell. So in the back, like, back then, we thought that we're trying to sell. We're trying to convince you to buy our shit, and like we need to convince your team to buy it. But actually, if your product aligns, the person you're selling to wants to help you. They want to help you sell to their company. Equip them, help them sell. And that's what our product turned into, was how can we help that person, that champion, sell your product? Give them all the resources they can. That's the best case scenario, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of the way I live and the way I operate, That's
such a good frame.
Yeah.
That's such a strong frame, yeah.
Best case scenario. Yeah. I was working on a ChatGPT the other night. I was working on a bunch, but one of them is called Scenario, which is you can tell it the different scenarios of like, hey, I'm going to be building this next business. What is the best case scenario for a business like this? And then it'll give me the whole story. And then I can just see, wow, this can be $1 billion business, or this can be $1 million business, or whatever it can be, or it's going to impact the world. These are all the steps I'm going to have to take, and then I can figure that out. It's like a fun thing.
So we spoke about the forbidden fruit earlier. Let's tie that back, because ChatGPT is fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
So how do we integrate with this stuff? Because man, I'm loving ChatGPT. It's helped me so much, and it, like you said there, it's almost playing into your imagination. It's triggering things you perhaps didn't. It's like aiding your imagination. Okay, so it's kind of internally already there. So when we're talking moving forward about Neuralink, ChatGPT, Apple's going to be in our head, because look, it's not going anywhere. It's only getting more and more amazing.
Yeah.
Like, so that we don't get to this future where we've got hippies on an island in Thailand versus cyborgs.
Yeah.
Like, how, because we're going to have to integrate somehow. So if you can put your idea out there, because then other people can latch onto that idea and they can begin creating it as well. what does that look like? What does best case scenario look like, in your opinion, for the integration of AI and
it's a tool. It's a tool, right? I mean, as long as you don't let it lead your life, I think it's okay. That's a hard one because once it's integrated with us, it's no longer a tool. It's us, right? We're like consumed by it. We already see how consumed we are with our phones. So Elon likes to say we're already in essence cyborgs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like just being more mindful with like utilizing it as a tool and not as a guider or a person that's, you know, something that's like showing you how to live life or lead your life. Like that's for God, right? But yeah, it's definitely dangerous.
Well, it's interesting because let's talk about like driving a moped here or driving a car. Yes, the car is an external object outside of you, but also like the neuro pathways, whatever happens, you're learning and understanding of how to operate that car. That's inside of you, you know? So weirdly, the car kind of becomes part of you. It's like becomes part of your behaviors. It becomes an extension of you, as all tools do. So yeah, I guess when Elon says that, it's like, look, we're already cyborgs.
Yeah.
Like I kind of see it. It's because it's already internal, even though it's perhaps not planted in. We kind of it's part of the internal process. Where can people effectively, let's say someone's listening to this, they're like, shit, man, this guy's had an awesome life. He's achieved so much. It's like crazy.
Not yet. No way. Dude, I am hyped, bro. No, trust me. This year, man, is going to be the year of actually executing on like building. You know, my whole life, I was afraid of success. You know how crazy that is? I am obsessed with building things, but I was afraid of success. That is the most worst thing you can do to yourself. You know, as a founder, one of the biggest problems you have is imposter syndrome.
Yes.
This is one of the biggest problems you have because anything you try to create, the worst enemy is yourself. And you go, am I good enough? Can I do this?
So I'm here to reflect back to you that if that's imposter syndrome, from an external perspective, you're massively successful, man. It's already here. The success is already here, bro. Like, it's just going to be unfold even more so. Like, you're going to be more and more successful. But, bro, seriously, like, everything that you have achieved, you're massively successful. Like, forget my label. That's what's important is your label. But, you know, you are, man. You're massively successful. You've achieved so much. Listening to your stories. Wow. Man, you're successful because you went to sit in that dean's chair and you're like, yo, what's up? I'm going to come here and make it happen, bro. Like, bro, you're a successful person. It's inevitable. It's inevitable, bro, because of your mindset, how you operate. You are a successful person. My question is for people who, they listen to you and they're like, this guy's, wow. What's something that they can do? What's something that they can kind of latch on to kind of change things around? Let's say they maybe like they know that they're in a relationship they don't need to be in. Let's say maybe they're playing like a couple of hours of video games a day. You know, this is reality for a lot of people. You know, their energy is seeping into these things. So my question is, what is an hour? Let's say they've got an hour today. What is something that they can put their energy, their attention into that is going to come back with more returns? It's going to be something worth investing time and energy into. Someone who's feeling a bit lost, what would you recommend to them? What's like something that, okay, my life's a bit all over the place at the moment. Just give me an hour. Tell me what to do for an hour. You know?
Whether your life's a bit all over the place or your life's falling apart, the same thing. Think about it as it's falling into place. Utilize what you think is holding you back or is making you stuck as the opportunity to take over, right? So if you're confused or sad or mad, it's like, how can you use this to take over? How can you use this to be more curious about life? What should you be learning right now? What can you be trying right now? Follow impact. Impact is a beautiful thing. How can you impact someone? Call a friend. How can I help you? Go to the local business, you know. I volunteer all the time at some of the orphanages here, but like one of the things I love to do that no one knows is like, I go to these local businesses and how can I help you today? What do you want me to do? You want me to move some boxes? You want me to, you know what I mean? I've done some weird things, you know, but it's like, be impactful. this is how you gain skills, knowledge, connections. Actually, the new business that we're trying to build, we're going to be putting, tablets behind these Grab cars and Gojek cars and like connecting them to businesses and advertising and games, entertainment, and trying to connect drivers to make more money and connect travelers to these different developing countries that are going to hopefully just like impact for the better. A lot of the drivers that, I got to connect with were because, I spoke to some small businesses and like, yeah, my husband drives. Yeah, I've driven before. This is what I do. This is what I want. Actually, one of the ideas that came from me from one of these people. They were like, look, I give the best tours of waterfalls, but the passengers never want to do it because they're doing a drive from Kuta to Uluwatu, and they don't think that I can do a tour because they look at me as just a Gojek driver. I was like, no worries, bro. I'm going to put driver services on the iPad where they can then hire you to give them a tour, right? And it's going to be professional and they can review it after, right? And make you more money. It's like, be curious, explore, discover, be impactful. If you're not curious, be impactful. If you're not impactful, explore. Like, don't sit down and do nothing. It's, sitting down and does nothing, you know what that does? It's the same concept as when it's raining and storming, when everything's falling apart and you're just sitting there in the storm, you could be there forever. You could be a lost soul forever. Or you can just keep walking and figure out what's out there, and then that's going to take you wherever you're meant to be. Man,
I love this. It's that, how can I be impactful? How may I serve? Jesus' message as well, man.
Yeah, and the church does a good thing with that, right? Because like if you're involved in the church, they're always gonna have something they need to get done or do and put you at service because they understand that service is how we find ourselves, being of service of others. Kanye wouldn't be Kanye without serving everyone as a producer.
Yeah.
If you saw his documentary, he didn't just become the best producer because he had the best skills. He was hyper-focused on helping others make the best songs possible. He had the best beats because of the most practice, because he fell in love with practice, but he became the best artist because he kept helping others as a producer, as a servant to them, as a service to them. So when he was time to become an artist and switch, guess what? They wanted to be of service of him. He didn't need the record labels. He didn't need all these other people. Everyone that he's already been helping and impacting now get to help and impact him.
Brother, man, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for the wisdom that you shared again today. And I'm glad we got to do a kind of a combination thing. This was a beautiful conversation.
Yeah.
I'm really happy we made it happen. Where can people find you? And how can they kind of get into your world?
They can find me just Jeremiah Wolf for now. I don't have a Twitter, TikTok, or YouTube. I'm just on Instagram, but that's going to change. We'll see what happens. This year is going to be sharing. I'm maybe going to share ideas with people. I think that's going to be a fun one on YouTube. Going to be doing a lot of writing. Got some like children's stories I want to publish. Got the quote book. So I'm going to really push myself to share for the first time online, which is going to be fun, but really scary.
I'm excited.
Really scary.
Brother, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you, brother.